Hi, in the last leg to the cat, I'm sure all of you are trying your best to score your dream percentile. Now you might be watching this video, strategy to ensure 80 percentile on the cat for one of the two reasons. One, you are struggling at one of the sections. Maybe you are doing really well at, let's say, the quant and the DLR section and struggling to clear the cutoff in the verbal section. Or maybe your target is to score an overall 80 to 85 percentile and hence you want to ensure that you cross the 80 percentile mark in each of the three sections. In both these cases, this video is going to help you. First things first, let's understand the score that you need to score the 80 percentile mark. Now, we are looking at 2 years data, CAT 21 and CAT 22. You needed to score 22 marks when it came to CAT 21 to clear the 80 percentile mark in the verbal section and 17 in CAT 22. Similarly, the numbers for DLR were 15 and 11 for the 2 years respectively, which means that you need to get roughly 4 net answers right to clear the DLR cutoff. For QA, you just needed 4 net answers right to clear the cutoff both in 21 and 22. And overall, you need to score 45 marks in 21 and 36 marks in 22 out of 198 to clear the 80 percentile mark. Now, one thing is very clear that the 22 paper was perceived to be slightly more difficult as compared to the 21 paper. This is seen through the lower cutoffs for 22. Let's understand how to cross the 80 percentile barrier in VARC. Now, let us first set our target for VARC in terms of the score that we need. Now, we just had a look at the table. We need to score about 18 to 21 marks to clear the VARC cutoff, assuming similar levels of difficulty. Now, to do that, I will attempt about 14 to 15 questions and get 8 to 10 of them correct. Now here I am accounting for a slightly lower accuracy when it comes to VARC section because for the last couple of years the VARC section is a little more difficult. So I am assuming an accuracy of about 60% when it comes to VARC. So my attempt strategy is I am going to attempt 15 questions, get about 10 of them right. So it would mean 10 into 3, 30 marks and 5 negatives. So I'll land up a score of about 25 when it comes to the VARC section. When it comes to the time allocation strategy, it is recommended that you spend 25 minutes on the RC part and 15 minutes on the VARC part. Now, depending upon your own strength and weaknesses, maybe about 3 minutes can be devoted to either of the two sections. So, for example, if you are really good at VA, you can spend up to 18 minutes on VA, and if you are really good at RC, maybe you can spend up to 28 minutes for the RC part. Now, to clear that 80 percentile hurdle and to reach the number of questions that we just discussed, we suggest that you spend enough time to attempt 2 RCs. Within these 2 RCs, you can attempt 6 to 8 questions, and in the remaining 15 odd minutes, you will be attempting 6 to 8 VA questions, especially the theta questions. Now, as discussed previously, we are going to attempt 2 of the 4 RCs that appear in our slot. We will need to have a strategy to select 2 of the 4 RCs. Obviously, our attempt is to select 2 of the easier RCs in that particular slot. So, we will need to spend a couple of minutes to select the right 2 passages to attempt. As I am a student, you would know the method that we have discussed multiple times, right from LMTC to all our strategy sessions on how to select the right passage. So please ensure that you apply the same. This should take you not more than 2 to 3 minutes. I will also suggest that you have a pre-decided order while you attempt the VA question types. So for example, if you are really good at summary questions, you can start off with attempting the summary questions, then move on to the parajumble questions and then maybe take up the fill in the blank questions. This will purely depend upon your accuracy levels when you are taking the SimCats. Now, let's come to the DLR section. if you look at the numbers for the last couple of years, it is very clear that if you can solve one set completely out of the 4 given sets, you should be able to clear the 80 percentile hurdle. Yes, only one set and you clear the 80 percentile cutoff, which means you need to get about 4 to 5 net questions correct. To do the same, like I said, you need to attempt one set completely. In some cases, maybe you miss a question or so, and hence to be on the safer side, we will attempt one set completely and maybe another set, at least half of it. And if possible, attempt 2 sets, right? So either 1 or 2, to be in the safe zone, I would recommend that you try solving 2 sets when it comes to your SimCats. Now, looking at the time allocation strategy, I would suggest that you take up to 8 minutes to select the sets. Again, we have done a very detailed discussion on how to select a DLR set. If you remember the rating out of 10 based on the 3 parameters that we have discussed. And you take up to 20 minutes to solve your first set. Okay, and once you're successful, you have time remaining, maybe you can look at the second set on your selection list and then try to attempt the same. Just a caution here, once you select a set and if you are not making any headway in the, let's say, in the first 7 minutes, you should immediately go on to the next set. If you spend all 20 minutes on one set and then realize, oh, I have done nothing, that may be a mini disaster. And hence, if you are not making headway, maybe you have made a selection mistake and you should proceed to the next set that you have shortlisted for yourself. Now, when it comes to DLR, when it comes to the preparation part, I would suggest that you should be well versed with all the standard sets, which means you should have a look at the last 3 years actual CAT papers, definitely the last 2 years, look at all the 6 to 9 papers that are available on MyMS portal and maybe also on the internet generally, and you should know how to attempt such sets. So, for example, a Venn diagram with 3 sets. It's a very commonly occurring question type. So, you should be able to solve such a question if it appears in your slot, right? And believe me, DLR is a lot more about your selection strategy. So, I would suggest that make sure that while you practice, you are also implementing the selection strategy. Keep calm during the test time and ensure that you solve at least 1 or the 2 sets that we are targeting. Now, let's come to the third section and we'll discuss how to get an 80 percentile on the QA section. Now, you just need 4 net questions when it comes to the QA section, which means I'm going to attempt 7 or 8 questions. So, maybe 5 answers right, 2 questions incorrect should get a net score that I want to clear the 80 percentile mark. Now, in the preparation strategy, I would suggest that you completely master arithmetic module, which means all the easy and medium question types that appear on the test, you should be able to attempt. Typically, you will find 7 to 8 questions appearing only and only from the arithmetic module, right? So, it makes a lot of sense to master this particular module. As a backup, you should make sure that you have mastered either algebra or geometry, one of these two, so that with arithmetic, you are able to attempt the 7 or 8 questions that I have just discussed with you. Thirdly, if possible, at least know the basics of the other modules, so that if a very easy question appears, let's say from a topic of functions or probability, if it appears, you should be able to solve it. Now, so the first target is master arithmetic, second target is either algebra or geometry based on your comfort, and third target is the basic questions from the other modules. During the test, I would suggest that you have a look at 3 or 4 questions at a time, which means, for example, I will look at questions 1, 2, 3, 4 that appear on my paper, and within these 4, the ones that are easy to solve, because you should be confident that, okay, if I start attempting this particular question, I will be able to get to the right answer. I will be able to solve the question completely. It is possible that maybe in a set of 4, you find 2 such questions. It is also possible that you find none of these questions, right? So, take your paper into 4 slots of 4 to 5 questions each and then go ahead and solve the questions that you are confident of solving, right? I'm sure all of you have heard Amit sir. His way of selecting a question is, are you ready to bet an X amount that you will get this particular question right? So if you are ready to bet an X amount, only then that's an A type question, and that you should be able to solve during the test time. Also, do not be under any time pressure. You know, when people talk about solving a question in under a minute or using the magic tricks, that is a lot more suitable for people who are looking at a 95 or 99 percentile mark. For someone who's trying to clear the cutoff in QA section, I would say time is not really a constant, because we have discussed we just need to crack 7 to 8 questions. So here, don't be under any time pressure. Take 2 to 3 minutes to solve a question. If you need to use a calculator that's available on the screen, do that. Mark an answer only when you have solved a question completely. Don't just randomly guess a question. Obviously for theta, if you have no clue of how to attempt that particular question, you're free to put in a guess, but not for the MCQ questions. So in conclusion, my point is that A, please focus on the topic that have a high weightage in terms of marks, so that you can comfortably clear the cutoffs. In quant, I discussed that topic is arithmetic. Second, to clear the cutoff, the selection strategy is the key. Have a tried and tested method to select questions. Whether it is VARC, DLR or quant, it will make sense to have one selection strategy that you're going to apply on the day of the CAT. Honestly, clearing the cutoff is a lot more about having faith, having confidence in the strategy that you have just made for yourself. So keep calm and execute the decided strategy. Be under no pressure to, let's say, solve all the 4 RCs or attempt all the QA questions. Just stick to the numbers discussed and you should be able to clear the cutoff. And be well versed with the last 2-3 years CAT actual paper. Believe me, you should know every set of DLR. You should know every question on the quant section, because a lot of times CAT questions are very similar to what have appeared in the past, so you can use your muscle or memory muscle, as we call it, to score the marks required to clear the cutoffs. And you have SimCats, which are an excellent practice ground. They also have video solutions. So along with actual papers and SimCats, you will have enough practice material so that you have confidence and enough skills to clear the cutoffs. So I hope you will continue to put in your best efforts to clear the cutoffs, and we wish you all the best so that you are able to get to your dream B schools. Thank you and bye.